Hey there, welcome to Concept Hunter. Today we're going to talk about Spectre's House, which is a game for the Newgrounds annual, 2015 in this case, Spooktacular. We didn't really have a Halloween episode or any Halloween games, so I guess this is compensation for it. It's a game by Anthony Mendez, and we're going to press space and take a look at the wonderful exposition that this game has, story. So now, what a beautiful night it is. And you seem like a ghost, but maybe it's a person. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. This is very long and very slow, and there's exclamation marks. And then he turns into a hat. I don't know what that was, but it turns into a hat, and then it just puts itself on your head. And it's, hello, hi, I'm a Spectre. Would you be ever so kind to help me get my house back? You and your ghosts keep us in good spirits for this time of year. So it's a ghost. It's definitely a ghost. Unfortunately, my rabbits are sick. They've even kicked me out of my own house. Sad face. Come on, man. My wife is going to end me. She loves this house. She's gone for the night to stay with her parents in hell. She's a demon, you see. She would literally banish me from this planet and into hell. So what are you waiting for, man? My marriage and life is on the line. Help a guy out. Okay, I guess. Right, so what do you do in this game? Well, it's quite simple. You are this ghost. You move incredibly quickly using the arrow keys, though WASD also works. You're supposed to dodge pretty much everything and collect these 5 orbs and then reach the exit. That is true for every single level in this game. There are 20 levels, they're not labeled, so I don't know that I'm in level 1 right now, and it doesn't tell me, it just ends eventually, and the description says there's 20 levels, so I believe them. Every level is exactly the same. You always have to collect 5 orbs and reach the exit. They obviously could have done a lot of other stuff with it, but for some reason they decided not to. What does differ is different types of enemies that chase you and move in different speeds and different rotations and different ways, and the distance between you and them is different, so that's how all kinds of different stuff. These ghosts, which are kind of the fastest and kind of track you pretty well, for some reason don't hit you. I'm not sure if this is a bug, but they just never hit you. They're just there, so you avoid them, but they don't actually deal damage. Everything else, such as this thing, does actually deal damage, in which case you can see the top left, I have HP. If that goes to 0, you actually begin from the start of the game. You actually lose entirely. There's no progression whatsoever in terms of, it doesn't keep your levels. So you'll just start all the way at level 1, which is really odd why they decided to do that, but that's just what happened to me. I died and I began at the very first level, so that kind of sucks. Luckily though, there's a lot of leeway in the sense that you could actually, I'm pretty sure you could get through most levels without even using space. So there's actually a space function that gives you a couple of frames of invincibility, right? And you could barely see this if you look at the character, and that's one of my issues with this game. This is incredibly important later on. This is level 2, so not really in here. But from level 3 onwards, I believe, there are actually places where you have to use it. You actually have to use the invincibility frames in order to pass over spikes, that you just have to do it. And the visual feedback that you get to when you are invincible is not powerful enough. When you get hit, you actually flash a little bit of yellow. It's still not great feedback, but especially when you use invincibility frames on your own on purpose, when I press space, the visual feedback is so little. And also it seems like there's a little bit of a delay when you press space until it actually, and the answer for it is actually when you lift space, so it's on button up. If I hold space, note that nothing happens. When I leave space, the thing actually happens. And this creates a very tiny delay that's really annoying. And what happens here is that you sometimes screw up, you sometimes miss it. Instead of doing it at the correct time, I pressed space, it should have kind of worked, but I kind of got hit. And that's really frustrating and kind of annoying, and especially when it's added to the fact that the visual feedback for being invincible is kind of bad. You're never really sure of when you are in invincibility frames and when you're not. Luckily, again, it doesn't matter that much when you are in invincibility frames, either from using space or from getting hit. In both cases, you need to wait until you could collect these things. So these things don't actually get collected if you're in invincibility frames. You just don't get collision at all. So you have to sometimes stand on something until it actually collides with you and you actually pick it up. The thing is that you have a lot of HP and you only have to collect 5 things. So even if the level is kind of complex and there's a lot of stuff that you need to do and areas where you absolutely have to pass through, get damaged, there's still a lot of leeway. And I'm pretty sure there is a possibility. I mean, I'm not entirely sure it's possible. I haven't tried it. But it might actually be possible to finish this game without using space at all. By just, taking proper damage boosts through stuff and being able to finish the game like that. I'm not sure if it's possible, but it might be possible. And it might actually be an interesting little thing to try and do. An interesting run, if you will, to try and do that. Maybe, I don't know. It might be even cool to design a game around that. So maybe the final levels are levels that force you to really reach, to perfectly take your damage and get the invincibility frames in order to only to like stay with 1 HP when you need to reach the exit. That could actually be an interesting game to design around, and this kind of makes a lot of sense for it, this type of game. Aside of that, it's just a really nice, fast-paced game. It's not entirely super difficult, but it's not very easy as well. You kind of have to be pretty good at this, I guess. And I like it. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I like fast-paced games, though because it's so fast-paced, the controls are not perfect. And sometimes randomly it has a little bit of lag, but usually it's totally fine. I died once, and then I finished it. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's called Spectre's House. And that's pretty much the Halloween episode in terms of, it's not a very spooky game, but yeah, it's called Spectre's House. Once again, it's by Epic Skull. And thanks you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Happy Halloween. It was like a week ago, wasn't it? Or a couple of days ago. I'm sorry. Yeah, happy Halloween. See you guys next time. Bye.